This is my video about anyone who wants to start a podcast. So within the last 2 months, I've had to explain to people how they can start their podcasts, and I didn't want to explain to anyone again. So I decided to do a video that would explain, the basics. So I'm a fan of podcasts. I can't remember the last time or the first time I learned about podcasts. But when I found them out, I liked the idea. Right? You can have the program at any point. You can listen at any time. I used to watch a lot of CNN, so if I can't catch up with the program, I'm like, okay, what's the best way to watch? So when, for instance, I found out CNN Audio, they were uploading Don Lemon's show, they were uploading Farid Zakaria and the others. I was like, yeah, nice. I can now listen at 2 a.m. I can listen if I'm on my way to work. I can listen when I'm walking and all of that. So the idea of podcasts are great. And it's like democracy for a lot of people. Everybody has a voice, right? You can start your radio if the content is good, people will follow you, and at some point they might have to pay you if you're premium, but that's like pushing the luck, right? That's like pushing the envelope, jumping too fast. So what's the as a Nigerian, what's the way to start? First of all, look out for Niger Pod Hub. They give you all the resources you need in terms of information on Twitter, on Facebook. Find them anywhere, Niger Pod Hub. So yeah, you can DM them. They will give you links on where to read. Also, Google is your friend. There's nothing you're looking for in this life that you will not find on Google. The last thing that they have not done is help you decipher which of your village people is on your case, right? They might be able to tell you some information, but they won't be able to specify this is the person that is doing you. But yeah, Google is close. Anything you want to find. But aside all of that, starting a podcast in Nigeria, Anchor is the first name because they are the most popular host. They were acquired by Spotify a while ago, and so they have more power, I believe. But there are other platforms. So Anchor.fm makes it super easy for you. Go to your Play Store, iOS or Google Play Store, wherever you get your apps. Download Anchor app, and then you can upload a podcast in the next 10 minutes if you have the app, and that would cost you just your data, right? Anchor, that's number one. There are other platforms. There is Spreaker. If you go to Google right now and you type Spreaker, Spreaker, Spreaker.com is a podcast hosting platform. Buzzsprout is a podcast hosting platform. There's Red Circle, and then there is Libsyn, I think. So there are many others, right? And you can host privately, which is a whole different topic. But because as an independent, you might not want to spend money on building a website from scratch. So go to anchor.fm, see what you can do with that. But Anchor is not the only platform, like I said. Look at all those other hosting platforms. So what else do you need? You have a hosting platform already. You need content. I always advise people, if you don't have content, don't start it. Don't do it. You have to tell great stories. You have to be sure, except you are sure that whatever you're going to do has an audience already. So do your best to present great content. If you want to be in agric, if you want to be in entertainment, football, sports, history, Yoruba history, Igbo language, you can teach anything on podcasts. You can just say something that always look out for content that you cannot exhaust. Yeah, so that every week you find something useful to talk about. That's that. So yeah, content. In some cases, you can start with 15 minutes, depending on what you're talking about. If you want to do the full length, there are podcasts that go for 4 hours. Depending on your audiences, they would listen if it's real and it's cool. But I advise people to start with 30 minutes or 15 minutes. Make it consistent. So the first day, yeah, if Monday is your release date, every Monday there's a new episode. You go out there, record your episode between Thursday and Friday. You need an editor to edit. When I say an editor, you need a software, an audio software that will help you edit, because sometimes if you're not a professional broadcaster or you are not the best speaker, you might need to edit some things that you have said. So you need an audio editing software that would help you to edit. You might need to learn that too, because you don't want to start paying people 10,000 every week or 5K every week to help you edit. No, save some money. there is Adobe Audition, whatever class that you can find online or wherever you can buy software. Just find software. Audacity, there is Cubase, there is SoundForge, Sony SoundForge. You can find all kinds of helpful um, apps that you can edit with. In fact, I'm sure phones can now allow you edit. So yeah, explore those options on YouTube and Google. Like I said, Google is your friend. All these things I'm saying you can actually find on Google, but finding a website might be a problem. So yeah. Where else are we going? Content is important. Um, Editing, yes. When you record on Thursday, if Monday is a release date, record on Thursday or Friday, edit on Saturday, listen back, upload on Sunday or Monday morning. And then captions. There's a lot to do in podcasting. So when you go to anchor.fm, so let's talk captions, promotions, distribution, what else? Marketing and making money and longevity, all those things. In the first part, I talked about recording, editing, and posting. When you record, you edit, or maybe you don't need to edit, post, depending. But it's always good to post something that is wholesome, good to listen. If you want to add music to the background, ensure the music is probably yours, or you have properly sought permission to use the music. Copyright issues is a different topic that I don't have enough knowledge about. I might not be speaking on that, but there are so many platforms on YouTube that can teach you the details about podcasting, music rights or music copyright in podcasting. So look out for that. But try not to use music if you don't know what the details of copyrights are. Record your content, edit, post on your podcast hosting platform, and then um distribute. Before I get to distribute, so when it's time to upload, to publish your title, the title should represent what the content is. If you have talked about planting maize in southern Nigeria or southwestern Nigeria, let it be planting maize in southwestern Nigeria. If it is in series, part one. If it is just preparing the land for planting maize, or just find a caption that represents what was recorded, and that's also something they called keywords, or SEO, search engine optimization, which is a different topic. Use topics or keywords that are easy for people to find. So when you type maize plantations in southwestern Nigeria, that sounds good if that's what you have talked about. So if anyone goes to Google and types podcasts maize Nigeria, yours is likely to come up in the first five because you have done something on that topic when it comes to podcasts. If it was an article or a research paper that someone did maize plantation in Nigeria, if you go to Google and you type maize plantation PDF, that article comes up. But yours is a podcast. So when people need podcasts, or they go to Google Podcasts or Apple and they type maize plantation Nigeria in any podcast platform, yours is very likely to come up, depending on algorithm. Also, that's another topic. So titling matters. Make sure that your title obeys the SEO rules, at least to some extent. So yeah, that helps people to find your podcast. Also, mm, um, publishing. So when you have published, if it is on Anchor, for instance, I'm just learning that Anchor doesn't do automatic distribution anymore. Before, when you publish on Anchor, the following day or almost immediately it's on Spotify, because their sister, they work together. In a week's time, it's on Google Podcasts, it's on Apple Podcasts. Now we have, there's been Amazon for a while. There's Listen Notes, Deezer, Boomplay. All of these platforms host podcasts now, right? But you have to find your way around it. So Anchor, I'm learning now, doesn't do the distribution anymore. So you have to pick your RSS feed. That's another long topic. But you can learn all these things from YouTube and Google, right? There's a way you distribute manually by yourself, depending on the platforms you want your podcast to be on. But the most popular according to some data that was verified recently, the most popular platforms where people listen to podcasts is, I believe, Apple Podcast number one, Spotify, Google Podcasts, then maybe others. I don't even know the others. Those are like the top three: Apple, Spotify, Google, and then you can talk about Amazon. You can talk because Amazon has been spending some money on acquiring podcasts recently, but Amazon can then enter the conversation. Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Overcast, Castbox. In Nigeria, we have Jamit. I don't know how exactly they are working, but Jamit FM. Yeah, so there's so many distribution platforms. There's so many platforms where people play podcasts. So if you have seen that people in your closet or people who you are distributing to, they use AudioMark. Yes, my podcast is on AudioMark too. Distribute to AudioMark. If Deezer is taking podcasts, in fact they are taking podcasts, distribute there, Boomplay, put it there, so that when people ask you and they tell you, oh, my music listening platform is Boomplay, I want you to put your podcast on Boomplay, they too can, access your podcast easily, because that's a turn off. When you send people your link and somehow they don't have any app that can play your pod, it might be a problem. That's why people advise that you put it on as many platforms as possible to start with, because you're trying to reach an audience. But if you want to be more exclusive, you don't want to stress too much, you can pick top 5 or pick 10, put it on 10 platforms, and pick 3 that you want to push and push it, so the numbers will accumulate across both. So when you want to sell to advertisers, which takes me to monetization, I'm not the biggest expert when it comes to that. There are so many resources you can find online, but monetization starts from Anchor. Has a monetization model where, depending on the number, they'll send you scripts, I believe, where you read in your episodes. If your episodes start to do a certain number of plays, if people start to play them, if it gets to a point, they give you some dollars. So if you're able to get 1,000 plays, something tangible might come, blah blah blah. But that has not been very effective for Nigerians because of this PayPal, Payoneer, a lot of payments issues around that. So some of us are not even stressing to monetize yet. But if you want to go through that, there's a way to read about it and see how it works. Monetization also comes with telling your listeners who find value or enjoy your podcast to buy you a coffee or send you some money. Yoruba people say fine bara, but it's not fine bara. You are offering value, and some people might think that, oh, this is good work, I want to support you. I want to send you $10 a month. I want to send you $5 a month to support your podcast, so you can buy better equipment and all that. So if you have built a connection to your audience and to your community, that they are willing to, depending on how you feel their pulse, if they're mailing you and are telling you what your podcast is doing for them, you might try to, and if you need the money, some people don't need the money really, tell them, go to my Patreon. Patreon is something you should learn about as well if you want to monetize. Patreon is, I think, is one of those easy platforms that allow people pay you. I don't know if it has the same problem with the PayPal Nigerian thing, but there's so many fintech apps in Nigeria now that I expect are solving those cross-border payment problems. I hope they've been doing, but I've not been really paying attention to monetization of my podcast. I have 2 podcasts, by the way. I'm trying to start another one. I have the Sample Access podcast. I have the Despite the Government podcast. I'm trying to start something around Yoruba podcast, so very soon. It sounds like it's too much. But yeah, monetization might come in the future. So the biggest money makers in podcasting have a large audience or have a niche dedicated audience. If you have 1,000 people who are sure to click your episode within 5 days, that's a community. So you can take that to an advertiser and tell them, I have 1,000 people, 700 of them are in southwestern Nigeria. Pay me this amount, I can advertise your product. I have a community of 5,000 listeners. 2,500 of them are sure to listen within 5 days. And it's going to increase over the next few weeks. So if you have a product, I don't want to go into a lot of the advertising details, but The market in Nigeria is not very it's not very lucrative yet for podcasters, but it's looking promising because the numbers are going up. People are now doing, within a few months you get 50,000 downloads. Within 1 year you might get 10,000, depending on how you push. Let me quickly talk about pushing and distribution. If you're talking about a topic, you have a Facebook account, you have a Twitter account, you have Instagram. You need to open accounts. If it's your personal account or you just open an account for your podcast, not very necessary. But if people know you already on Twitter, you have 1,000 followers, and they know that you are an agriculture man, or they know that you are a musician, or they know you around the brand, and you want to introduce your podcast to them, you will tell them, my people, I've started a podcast. I'd like you people to support, listen, and give me feedback. So if you start like that and every week you keep posting, tell them to retweet, tell them to share with their friends, announce it in your episodes. That's how it starts to grow. Again, the content must be valuable. If it's valuable, if you tell me to share to someone and I share and they like it, they'll come back. And also tell them to subscribe. Subscribe to your channel so that whenever you drop a new episode without even posting, people see it on their podcast timeline. So yeah, the problem with listenership in Nigeria is still pretty big because data. Sometimes the podcast might be 50 MB. You don't even see the size on the apps. But if you download 10 podcasts that are like 50 MB, that's 500 MB. Some of us live on 12 gig a month. Some of us less than that. Some a lot more than that. So people mice their data. So they don't want to. It's not like radio that it's free to air. You open your radio app for free without data. You can listen. That's why some people don't appreciate radio enough. But if you want to, like, if we need, and I say this with no disrespect, if we need the bottom of the pyramid in Nigeria, the people who earn the lowest, to appreciate podcasting, then we need to give them free data or make data a lot more affordable. That might happen in the next 5 years with the telecom companies and all of that. But for now, it's not so easy. And also, we don't have. That's one thing I learned from one of the OGs in podcasting in Nigeria, Osage Alunge. I don't know I think I agree with him that there are not enough quality podcasts. If there are enough quality podcasts, when we say quality, we mean content and sound quality. If your audio is poor, it might be a turn off for a lot of people. So good audio, great content. If I know that I'm going to learn good stuff from your podcast, I wouldn't mind the data, because some of us actually spend our data on WhatsApp status and IG stories for nothing, looking at fine girls, and you already know. So yeah, if it's valuable, you can find people. But again, that fact that the bottom the bottom pyramid of the country cannot afford to listen to podcasts like I guess Americans would. So that's something. One last thing, yeah, distribute. You need to knock on doors, which is about listening. Sometimes you need to tell people, that's why musicians go around now. They will almost bombard their timelines with videos, go and stream my music. So yeah, you're going to have to do the same thing. Especially if you know the people who are in your niche. If you're in entertainment, when an artist posts or you know people who are in that space, you tell them about it. You might need to enter some people's DMs respectfully. Hello, I have this podcast that you might be interested in. Because some people actually need stuff to listen to, and your podcast might come handy. So find your audience and sell to them respectfully. Go to Twitter, post every day. You might even automate the post. Facebook, tell your people my podcast. Oh, and then the description has to be there. This episode is about how to deal with something depression. On this episode, I explained what will help you um, deal with the issues in your marriage. You have to tell them what you're selling so that, oh yeah, let me listen. So when they click, and from 1 minute to 2 minutes, you're making sense, they are likely to stay till 5 minutes. If you're still making sense, they'll stay to the end. So it comes together. Good content, good marketing. If you have money, put it on IG and spend like 20K on IG advertising for a month. Tell them to reach out to. You can select what IG would, Instagram would sell your products to people under 30, men and women based in Lagos. You can tell them, the specifications you want. So that's like long and short of starting a podcast in Nigeria. Recap: if you watch part one, Anchor, Buzzsprout, Red Circle, Libsyn, and there's one more, Spreaker. Those are the platforms that I know that can help you start hosting your podcast. And there is so much to do. If your podcast is good, if it's 30 minutes and it's timeless, you can record 100 episodes and keep it after airing. Keep it for 5 years later. If it's still valuable, you can put it on radio somewhere, because radio would start to, that's my prediction, radio will start to accommodate podcasts, because we have thousands of radio stations, all of them are doing the same thing. If your content is good enough, in 2 years time they might say, oh, let's consider and pay you some money to have 100 episodes run for 2 years on their station. So those are some of the things that people can put into considerations now before you start. What do I want to do? If I'm going to do something now, maybe I should make it timeless. Or if it's not going to be timeless, let me build something that in 4 years time we would have built an audience of 15,000 people across Nigeria who tune in and listen, and with that we can sell to advertisers and make some money. So yeah, it's still in the same content space. TikTok, yeah, I didn't mention TikTok. You can promote with TikTok. That's what I'm learning now. So yeah, that's pretty much what podcasting is about. I hope this was useful to one or two people. Thank you for watching.